Hello, guys, welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach and an LGBTQ perspective in an LGBTQ planet. And today we just want to focus on what is called the LGBTQ East, that is including China and India and parts of Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, basically Asia. And why I'm doing this is because I have been interested by something. I was in my usual thought processes of the day. I was thinking to myself about how Africa is trading with China. And I found a very interesting point. I was wondering, Africa is actually homophobic, legally homophobic, because most of the countries in Africa have laws that are anti-homosexual or anti-gay. But they're working with China that happens to be an LGBTQ country. It is a country that is now has decriminalized homosexuality for more than 20 years, and it has also a history of ancient same-sex relations. And so I asked myself, it's so weird for people who claim to be homophobic to be trading with somebody who is considered someone who is considered to be siding with gay people or giving them their rights. So it's an irony. And this is against the backdrop of what is happening in Tanzania right now. Tanzania has there's a minister or government official that has gone berserk and is pushing the gay community in Tanzania underground. But when you look at the trade relationship between Tanzania and China, it's impeccable. China has built the railway in Tanzania. China has built very many things in Tanzania. And yet, so the point is, why attack local gays when you cannot attack international gays in the name of China? It's a remarkable irony and remarkable hypocrisy that somebody can attack another person's sexuality when the trader, the people they're trading with, the people they get money from, like the country gets money from, the bank, the Chinese bank, these are banks that are based in countries that allow gay rights. So it is very hypocritical from both the African government that's homophobic and the Chinese government that supports gay rights. But I don't blame China. I blame the African government, because if you are really against homosexuality, you would not be trading with a country that allows it and that has legalized it. So we just want to go through a short history of this LGBTQ lifestyle in China. And we're reading this. It is that it has been documented in China since ancient times. And according to one study, it has been regarded as a normal facet of life in China prior to the Western impact of 1840 onwards. However, this has been disputed. Several Chinese emperors have been speculated to have had homosexual relationships accompanied by heterosexual ones. Opposition to homosexuality, according to the study by Hinch, did not come firmly established in China until the 19th and 20th centuries through the westernization efforts of the late Qing dynasty and early Republic of China. So, basically, the first sentence is very clear. Since ancient times, it has been so. And it was normal. It wasn't an issue. And so what does this tell you? That the West came to China and most of the world was still homophobic westernization. It was not LGBTQ westernization. It was homophobic westernization that came to most parts of the world, and that's what they took to China. And this is why the China in the 20th century actually criminalized it. And look what she's saying, as if I read the second paragraph. It's saying, for the most of the 20th century, homosexual sex was banned in People's Republic of China until it was legalized in 1997. And in 2001, it was removed from the official list of mental illnesses in China. So you see, it's very interesting that these people, the Chinese, when they were westernized a bit, not too much westernization, because China was not so westernized in the sense that it was not colonized. But westernization is not colonization. That's what people need to understand. There's a big difference between colonization and westernization. Colonization means to politically conquer a country. But westernization means means a cultural conquest. Yes, a systematic conquest. It's more socio-cultural conquest rather than political. But it can also involve politics. So, this is what happened in China, and it was banned for most of the 20th century until it was legalized in 1997. And then it was also removed as a mental illness. Congratulations to China. So, of course, my view is, and let's go through the different terms they used. The passion of the cat sleeve, that is Duan Shu ZP, and the divided pitch, that is Fentao. It is called Fentao, and this comes from she dawdles, not daring to move closer, or afraid he might compare her with the leftover peach. So those are the nicknames they were using. And then you find Lord Long Yang in the Warring States period. They called it a passion of Long Yang. And the formal modern word is Tongxing Lian. That's for homosexuals in Chinese. And Tongxing Lian Zi. And then you have Tongji. And then you also have Tongji means comrade, of course, which is a common communist term. And in communism, that's why we said in the other video that when they use communism, it's very weird that communist states are not homophobic. And indeed, we found out when we did the roll call that even North Korea, which is a communist state, is not homophobic. And that's what we are very happy about. So the word comrade, Zhongji, Tongji, actually is a same-sex term. And then we also find there's another one here. The lesbians used to call themselves Lazi or Lala. And these were the lesbian terms used in mainland China, and they're still used today. So let's see the traditional views. The traditional views, the writings from the Liu Song dynasty claim that homosexuality was as common as heterosexuality in the late 3rd century. Can you imagine that it was recorded? And you see the beauty of China. They have the records. It was recorded. All the gentlemen and officials esteemed it. All men in the realm followed this fashion to the extent that husbands and wives were estranged. Resentful unmarried women became jealous. You see, it's beautiful, and this is the 3rd century. Do you know how many years those are from now? We're in the 21st century, so minus 21 minus 3. That is 18 centuries ago, and that is 1,800 years ago. Unbelievable. and they were recorded. So you ask yourself, what is the problem with these African countries that are trading with ancient homosexuals, yet they claim that they are not? You see, it's hypocrisy, and this is why the African homophobia is collapsing. Yes, it is. The state-sponsored homophobia is also collapsing, because not only is the West open about LGBTQ, even China is open about it. And the beauty of the Chinese homosexuality, it is not from the West. That's what people, this video is actually addressed to the African traders and African governments that are homophobic, and they claim to be, that they want to fight, homosexuals and all of that, and put them in jail. I don't know. We'll talk about Africa another time, because Africa is a weird continent. It's just like the Arab world. They say one thing, but what they say is not what they do. And so it's a weird situation. But where the world is going right now, the world is going in a situation whereby what you say is what you do. And the reason for that is to make things more easy and more processed. Because if you have a situation whereby what you say is not what you do, and what you say is what you do, then there is chaos. There will be no movement when you have a population that is living like that. So the situation the world is going into, and the West has already arrived there, and Asia has been there for quite some time, is a situation whereby what you say is what you do, or what is legalized is what happens, and what is not legalized is dealt with. That's where Africa and some of the Arab world has not arrived, but they're going to arrive there very soon. Reason being, they are trading with China, they're trading with the East, and they're trading with the West, regions that say what they do. That's what's going to happen. And another thing you need to understand about the East and the West, there's a very similar route they're taking. China is atheist, and the highest number of atheists are found in the East, in China, 200 million atheists and agnostics. And the West is also following up with the number of atheists. So you can see there's a trend that the atheist regions of the world, they are the most successful economically, and they are the most scientific in their activities, and law is law. It's what you say is what you do. There's nothing like the African or Arab logic whereby you say this and you actually mean the opposite. That's what happens in most of Africa and the Arab world. There's no adherence to the law. So when there's no adherence to the law, what's the use of the law? You see, that's what has happened in Africa. And it's kind of like the old behavior Jews used to have. And it's not only Jews, by the way, it's just human behavior. Some laws especially are very bad law. If you want to know a law is bad, just look at what happens when it's passed. People still do that thing, so that shows you the law is bad. Like giving the example of the Jews. You see, the Torah banned homosexuality, but it's happening in Israel. It was happening. So what does that mean? People, or the law was bad. It didn't understand what it was legislated for, or it was legislating something that is natural. So just because something that a law has prohibited, you check the law. You don't check the people. Yes, that is the understanding. Confucianism, being primary and political philosophy, focus a little on sexuality, and I talked about male friendships, and then Buddhism sought to define what sexual misconduct is, and they couldn't define it, though they suggested neutrality. They have been neutral on all of these issues. And the only time opposition rose to homosexuality was in the Tang dynasty. but it did not become fully established until the late Qing dynasty and the Chinese Republic. Good. So Lu Tongying is a writer of misogyny and cultural nihilism and oppositional politics. Contemporary Chinese experimental fiction said a clear-cut dichotomy between heterosexuality and homosexuality did not exist in traditional China, and I 100% agree. There was no this dichotomy that you're either homosexual or you're either heterosexual. People were just sexual, you were just sexual. And that's why we say we are now in the LGBTQIAAP planet. We are just sexual, whether you're homo or hetero. And that's why you have to decriminalize homosexuality. So there's no dichotomy. We don't live in a dual world. We are in non-duality. Literature and the writings, supreme joy, and you can see, yes, homosexuality is very wonderful. It's beautiful. It's joyous. And they're talking about this in the Tang Dynasty and all of the rest. And then you also have other works depicting platonic relationships and erotic literature. All of these are there. It's a very long article. I just did this video not to really focus on China, but to question people who say, we are trading with China but then they on the side when they're at home they are homophobic, and I'm like, are you sure you know whom you're trading with? You're trading with a very homosexual region, a very homosexual country. Yes, China has the highest numbers of LGBTQ persons. So if you're a country fighting homosexuals, why are you trading with them? Like what's happening in Uganda. Why are they trading with them when they hate homosexuality? If you truly hate it, then you shouldn't even trade with them. Yes. The fact is, they are making a mistake to attack their own local gays, yet they are trading with international gays, because the West we know the West is already gay. But what people don't know is the East is gay. And it is. And if anything, the more gays are in the East than the West. Yes. So, what's going to happen to Africa? They will still trade with the West, they will still trade with the East. But they shouldn't punish their own people who are gay. And that's what we put this video out. We say the East is gay, the West is gay. Then don't punish your gay populace in Africa and the Arab world in the name of we are homophobic. Because basically you're telling the West and the East, yes, we are actually homophobic, and we are proud of it. And that is going to hurt your own citizens. It is complete suicide to hurt your own citizens that are gay, and you're trading with international gays. And that's the point of this video. All these guys who love China, they're trading with China country. So citizens in your countries, like Tanzania now. We don't want another case of Uganda happening in Tanzania.